I had been scrolling through photos of lonely shelter dogs when one picture stopped me cold. A golden brown mutt with an almost human grin stretching from ear to ear. His tag in the post said Sunny, and the name immediately felt right, as though light itself had been trapped inside that shy smile. All week at school, I could think of nothing else, the image glued to my mind like a bright sticker on a lunchbox. On Saturday morning, I convinced Mom to drive me to the city shelter, even though rain hammered our windshield the whole way. The waiting area smelled like bleach and wet fur, and a chorus of barks echoed down the concrete hallway, rising and falling like waves against a stone pier. A volunteer led us past rows of metal kennels until we reached the very last pen, where Sunny sat wagging his tail like a broken metronome. Up close, his grin looked even wider, and his big amber eyes seemed to ask, "Is it finally my turn?" I knelt, slipped my fingers through the bars, and he pressed his head so hard against my hand that his floppy ears flipped inside out. Mom whispered that we should look at a few more dogs to be fair, but I already felt a string tied from his heart to mine. The adoption counselor warned us that Sunny had been returned twice for excessive enthusiasm, whatever that meant. She said he jumped on people, spun in circles when excited, and sometimes barked all night because he couldn't settle. None of that mattered to me, because I had read somewhere that every kid deserves one dog who changes their life forever. We signed the papers, paid the fee from my saved allowance, and the counselor clipped a bright blue leash onto his collar. The moment the kennel door swung open, Sunny launched into my arms like a furry comet, almost knocking me backwards. Laughter erupted from the nearby cages, or maybe that was just how his joyful bark sounded as it bounced around the room. I remember thinking it felt like hugging a living furnace. His body was so warm, it melted the cold rain that had soaked my jacket. Outside, the storm paused as if to watch us, and a weak beam of sunlight broke through the clouds right on his head. Mom said that was a good omen, the sky giving him his name again, a whispered promise of better days. Sunny shook the rain from his fur, looked up at me, and flashed that incredible grin as though he understood every word. In that moment, I decided I would do whatever it took to keep that smile shining forever. The car ride home felt like a movie trailer, Sunny standing on the dashboard with his nose to the glass, captaining our family spacecraft. Every passing car received an eager grin, and some drivers waved back, thinking he was the happiest co-pilot in history. When we parked, he sniffed every patch of grass, tail spinning like rotor blades, as if storing each smell in a secret diary. He sprinted inside, ears flapping, slid across the hardwood, and bounced off the couch with a friendly thump. Our cat Whiskers peeked from behind a plant, unsure whether to hiss or hide, but Sunny only wagged politely before moving on. In the kitchen, he shoved his head into every cabinet, convinced endless treats lived there, whining whenever a door stayed shut. Mom laughed as she followed behind, picking up overturned bowls and rearranging shoes that had become impromptu chew toys. Despite the chaos, Sunny kept smiling, mouth open in a goofy pant that showed perfect teeth and a pink tongue. Dad walked in and froze because a grinning dog charged him with one of his socks clamped in its teeth like a victory flag. Instead of scolding, Dad burst out laughing, saying it was impossible to be mad at a face that joyful, which made Sunny wag harder. That night, Sunny patrolled every room like a sleepless night guard, pausing to check under beds for imaginary burglars. Past midnight, he curled at my feet, breathing slow and steady like a baby dragon after a feast. I whispered that everything was okay and draped a blanket over him, and he sighed the longest, happiest sigh I had ever heard. In the morning, he greeted me by hopping onto the mattress, showering my face with licks that smelled faintly of peanut butter biscuits. At school, I pictured Sunny waiting in the window, practicing tricks. Even math couldn't erase that image. Sure enough, when the bus stopped, he sat in the bay window, tail drumming the sill like a cheerful drummer at halftime. I came in and he zoomed circles, paws skidding like rollerblades, until he collapsed on the rug still grinning. Mom's photo of his smile charmed Grandma's book club, who forwarded it to half the family. I realized his grin was contagious, spreading through screens like sunlight sneaking under a door, brightening every room it touched. As I drifted to sleep again, I wondered what adventures that unstoppable smile would bring tomorrow. Certain life with Sunny would never be boring. By the following weekend, Sunny had already transformed our quiet neighborhood into a friendly festival of waves and greetings. Kids who usually hurried past stopped to scratch his ears, and even stern Mr. Patel, the mail carrier, slipped him a biscuit each morning. On afternoon walks, his grin worked like magic, making strangers smile back and share tales of their own pets. One elderly woman thanked him for reminding her of the beagle, she had loved as a child and promised to bake him oatmeal cookies without raisins. The soccer team of the park asked if Sunny could be their unofficial mascot because his happiness made warm-ups less boring. As mascot, he trotted the sidelines barking encouragement, and the team scored 2 extra goals, swearing he was lucky. Coach Martinez invited us back, and soon parents started bringing extra water bowls and colorful bandanas just for him. Seeing Sunny uplift so many people sparked an idea that wouldn't leave my head during homeroom math. With Charity Week coming, I proposed a Smile-a-thon walk to raise money for the shelter that had saved Sunny. Principal Gomez liked the plan and suggested students visit the shelter to meet real pets. When we arrived at the shelter, Sunny marched in like a celebrity, returning to thank the crew who discovered him. Dogs that usually cowered in corners perked up at his wagging tail, and even the shy gray kitten pressed its nose through the bars to watch. The volunteers said they had never seen the kennels so lively, and sign-up sheets for adoptions began filling faster than usual. During the event, Sunny posed for photos with everyone, his grin shining under the flash like a tiny sunrise. The local newspaper snapped his picture and ran a headline the next day that read, "Rescue Dog Spreads Joy, Helps Friends Find Homes." I cut out the article and taped it above my desk, proud that his unstoppable smile was now official good news. That evening, a letter arrived from the retirement home downtown, asking if Sunny could visit the residents during their weekly story hour. Mom agreed, and the next Thursday, he strutted into the common room wearing a red therapy dog vest borrowed from the shelter. He listened to Mrs. Alvarez recite poems, placed his chin gently on Mr. Lee's knee, and made the whole room sparkle with happy laughter. As we left, the director pressed my hand and whispered, "This dog is medicine," and I knew she was absolutely right. For weeks, everything Sunny touched seemed to glow brighter, but even superheroes have days when their cape gets snagged. One rainy Thursday, I found him lying by the door, grin replaced by trembling lips, and his usual drumbeat tail still as stone. Panic fizzed in my stomach like soda as I called Mom, who rushed home and whisked us to Dr. Ahmed's veterinary clinic. The waiting room smelled of antiseptic and popcorn, an odd mix, and I clutched Sunny's leash while he shivered against my knee. Dr. Ahmed examined him gently, then showed an X-ray that revealed a cracked molar, probably caused by chewing a hard toy. He explained that pain can steal a dog's joy, just like a thundercloud blocks the sun, but assured us the tooth could be fixed. Sunny was prepped for a short surgery, and I had a hand over his leash, feeling as though I'd let go of half my heart. The clock on the wall seemed frozen, each minute stretching longer than a history lesson right before summer break. Finally, the door swung open and Dr. Ahmed smiled, announcing the procedure was smooth and Sunny would wake up soon. I tiptoed into recovery, where my brave dog lay under a warm blanket, eyes droopy, yet trying to spark a tiny smile for me. I whispered stories about soccer games and cookie promises until his tail gave a weak thump, a Morse code saying, "I'm okay." Back home, we set up a comfy corner with pillows, his favorite squeaky pineapple, and a playlist of gentle acoustic songs. For 3 days, he ate soft food, and we measured medicine with the seriousness of scientists mixing rocket fuel. Each morning, his grin grew a little wider, like the sun rising higher over mountains, until it reached full sunshine again. On day 4, he pranced to the window, barked hello to the garbage truck, and demanded a walk by trotting circles around the leash rack. The neighborhood cheered his return as if a beloved captain had come back from sea, and Mr. Patel awarded him 2 biscuits. I learned that even unstoppable smiles need care, and that looking after someone means staying strong when their light flickers. At bedtime, I thanked Sunny for teaching me bravery, because he had faced pain with a wag and came out shining. Before I turned off the lamp, he rested his head on my chest, delivering one slow, perfect grin that said, "Teamwork wins." I drifted to sleep sure that together we could weather any storm, toothache, or thundercloud, as long as we guarded each other's smiles. Spring arrived with blossoms and a surprise envelope addressed to Sunny, decorated with paw print stickers. Inside, we found an invitation to the State Pet Expo's Hero Hound Showcase, nominating Sunny for his charity work and therapy visits. The expo was 2 towns away, and big crowds made me nervous, but Sunny spun in circles like he'd already tasted the adventure. We spent evenings practicing polite greetings, learning high-five tricks, and polishing his red vest until it shone like a ruby. On Expo Day, we walked into a hall buzzing with dogs, from tiny chihuahuas in tutus to Great Danes in superhero capes. Booths offered agility courses, treat tastings, and even a bubble machine that filled the air with strawberry-scented foam. Sunny greeted each new friend with his famous grin, and cameras flashed so often it felt like walking a red carpet premiere. When the showcase started, judges sat behind a table covered in squeaky toys instead of microphones, which made me giggle. Pets performed feats, search collies tracked scents, and a three-legged terrier conquered an obstacle course to roaring applause. Our turn came, and I felt my heart pounding like a drum solo, but Sonny trotted beside me, calm as a cloud on a windless day. I told his story while photos played on a screen, and Sonny timed each highlight with a grin or happy tail swipe. The crowd sighed when they saw his shelter picture and cheered when a slide showed the headline about adoptions rising. For the finale, Sonny offered his paw to the smallest judge, a girl my age in a wheelchair, and she laughed until her eyes sparkled. The judges whispered, nodded, then rang a bone-shaped bell to crown him brightest smile ambassador, Sonny. Confetti burst like rainbow snow, and Sonny leaped to catch the bits, becoming the center of a living snow globe. Reporters asked questions, and I explained that anyone can change the world with kindness, even a dog once labeled too enthusiastic. On the drive home, the trophy sat in the back seat next to Sonny, who fell asleep with his head against it, still smiling in his dreams. That night I posted a thank you video, and by morning it had gone viral. Commenters wrote that Sonny's grin brightened their day, and some promised to visit their local shelters that weekend. I realized his unstoppable smile had traveled far beyond our small town, proving sparks of joy can fly anywhere when carried by love. Months passed, and life settled into a rhythm where Sonny's grin was the morning alarm and bedtime lullaby all at once. We still did therapy visits and charity walks, but mostly enjoyed simple things like chasing butterflies in the yard. One sunset, we sat on the hill behind our house watching clouds drift, and I wondered aloud how one smile could change so many lives. Sonny leaned against me, warm and steady, and I realized his secret was never fancy tricks or trophies, but everyday kindness. The next day, I shared that thought at school, starting a kindness chain where each student did one helpful act and passed it on. Within a week, the cafeteria buzzed with kids holding doors, sharing lunches, and praising each other's art projects. Teachers noticed the shift and pinned bright paper links across hallway walls, each link labeled with a deed and a tiny drawn dog grin. Principal Gomez announced we had broken the school record for positive referrals, and she declared a Sunny Day celebration in his honor. On Sunny Day, students wore yellow, the color of his name, and we painted a small paw print mural near the entrance as a reminder to keep smiling. The local news crew returned, filming us singing a song I had written called Grin It Forward, which became our anthem. Sonny enjoyed the attention but seemed happiest lying in the grass while first graders read him their stories about heroes in fur coats. That night, Dad joked that Sonny should run for mayor, and Mom said he'd probably win without uttering a single campaign speech. I thought about how different our house felt compared to the day we first brought him home in the rain. Back then, I had wanted to keep his smile shining. Now I understood it was shining on its own, powering itself by lighting others. Sometimes I still feared the grin might fade, as all things eventually do, but Sonny reminded me joy multiplies when shared. Even Whiskers, once skeptical, now curled beside him, occasionally batting his wagging tail like a tiny boxing trainer. On the anniversary of his adoption, we visited the shelter with cupcakes for the staff and new toys for every cage. As we left, Sonny paused at his old kennel, gave one gentle bark, and walked away, tail high, mission accomplished. At home, I framed a photo of that moment, captioning it, "Smile that started 1,000 more," and hung it beside his trophy. Whenever I see someone looking down, I think of that photo and remember that a single unstoppable smile can rewrite any story. Summer vacation finally arrived, and Sonny and I wrote a bucket list on a crumpled road map, promising to finish every item before 6th grade began. Besides slurping ice cream cones and racing our shadows, we circled one big dream: climb Firefly Ridge after sunset to watch the valley glow like lanterns. Mom agreed if we packed headlamps, water, lemon-scented insect spray, and Sonny's neon LED collar that made him look like a comet in the dark. We started at dusk, cicadas tuning their wings, and each uphill step felt like turning a crisp page in our adventure book. Halfway up, Sonny greeted a family of rabbits. Instead of chasing, he wagged so softly, the tiniest kit peeked from the clover and twitched its nose. I realized his grin was stronger than fences because it turned strangers into friends faster than any secret handshake. At the summit, town lights glittered below like spilled treasure, while fireflies drifted around us in slow golden applause. I unrolled a blanket, poured cocoa from my thermos, and handed Sonny a star-shaped biscuit, sure he'd earned a constellation to munch. Lying side by side, we counted silent wishes instead of numbers, knowing regular math felt too small for magic this wide. A gentle breeze carried distant carnival music, and Sunny sniffed the air, tasting cotton candy, laughter hidden in the sound. I admitted I once feared his smile might fade, but now I knew smiles travel in circles, returning brighter each lap like the moon. Sunny nudged my cheek, and in that touch I felt every thank you he could not speak. A shooting star sliced the sky. I wished every shelter pet would find a home that fit like ours, warm, safe, and forever. His tail thumped twice, promising that wishes work best when paired with action. I vowed to host adoption drives, write rescue stories for the school paper, and grow our kindness chain into every classroom. Thinking of future kids inspired by those tales made my chest buzz warmer than July sunlight. I realized courage often begins as one glad bark answered by someone willing to listen. When the fireflies settled and valley lights dimmed, we hiked down through grass sparkling with dew like midnight diamonds. Back home, I tucked Sunny into bed, and his steady grin, unstoppable as sunrise, promised new quests waiting beyond dawn. I whispered, "Good night, hero," certain that as long as Sunny kept smiling, the world would keep finding reasons to smile back.